Well, thank you. That leads me into my next question, which is, what do you wish colleagues in the Academy considered or knew about immigrant origin first-generation students in higher education, either to be better colleagues or to better serve these students?
Really providing, first and foremost, mentorship into understanding what the possibilities are, opening doors of possibilities. There's some ways that, again, right, and I kind of like to couch it more around, because for me, my lens is really situated around which immigrant origin community we're really talking about, first generation immigrant origin community, and where levels of social capital still exist in there, right? Based upon whether parents have some kind of college degree, higher education continuum, right, that opens different possibilities in comparison to students whose parents might not necessarily have parents or caregivers who might have actually had a different educational trajectory. And I also think about it in the context around race as well, right? In what ways is the institution, but colleagues within the institution responding differently to students who are Black immigrant origin, Latinx immigrant origin, and white, right? And the reason that matters, right, it's just that, again, we're back at this place where it's all immigrant first generation origin students. And so this is what they actually need. Still, in an academic setting that still is mostly white and still relies on white values, an immigrant origin student who is white is going to experience their college trajectory very different in comparison to a Black immigrant origin first generation student or a Latinx immigrant origin first generation student. So for me, it really, it has me think about always that, what does equity look like, right? Not equality, to what does it look like to mentor in a way that you open possibilities, right? What I said for me stands true, right? I didn't know about a damn PhD. It was just like, oh, you should go get a PhD. And I'm like, okay, PhD, got it. Let me research PhD, right? At 19. But no one had that conversation with me. And I can guarantee you, no one had that conversation with my other Latinx friends or Black friends, right? This was just a new idea. This was just something new for me, right? And so the mentorship is really true mentorship that opens up possibilities that you're not taking from students, because that's the other part of the sector, right? Seeing folks within the academia taking rather than giving and offering support and knowledge, what an authentic mentorship looks like. And also kind of what I said earlier, right? Understanding that immigrant origin, some of our immigrant origin first generation students are navigating family life and work life, right? Because they still have this connection to family that is also foundational, is well. And when we don't consider that, right, there's assumptions that go with like, yeah, they ain't coming to class, so that means that they're not interested, right? Because those assumptions get made very quick. Because again, right, you're transitioning from now a high school at 18 into college, but those responsibilities you might have had have not gone away, right? And so now the expectations have shifted, right? Because technically you're an adult, yes, and at the same time, the failure to recognize that it's more nuanced and more complex for our immigrant origin first generation students doesn't allow you to really fully grasp with the experience, nor does it allow you to really connect and develop an authentic relationship with young people.
What advice or words of wisdom would you give young people of immigrant origin who are considering the journey into the academy?
Understand your purpose. I think it's important to understand your purpose in the world, right? What impact are you trying to leave? What is most important to you? What does your heart tell you that you're supposed to be doing? And that there's alternative ways to move through academia. What I said for me stood true, right? Initially, I was like, yeah, I've been prepared for the past several years, right, to be on an academic trajectory. And having a postdoc, right, turned the corner for me completely in many ways. That I'm like, there's alternative ways that I can actually still exist in academia, but on my conditions, what's meaningful for me and what my purpose is in this world, that I have a different purpose, and that it's okay to have a different purpose, and it is to actually move with what you feel your heart is telling you to do, what your purpose is supposed to be in this world.
Great advice, wise words. Looking back at your educational journey, what would you tell your younger self?
Damn, girl. It's funny, right? Because I've asked myself that question probably as the first book got pushed out, and had that mirror moment around. Like, I did have like damn girl moment, right? I will be honest, because in many ways, I'm so proud of myself, and I'm so proud of all that my mother did, in many ways, that have placed me to this place. Because probably, can I have said like the 6-year-old self would have said like, yeah, you're gonna have a couple of books out, you're gonna have another possibility here and there. Maybe not, right?
Hard to imagine at that time.
Yeah, it was hard to definitely imagine. And so at this point, there's this sense around proudness, and there's this sense around how do I do the same for others, is well, what is my role, is well in doing that for others, in opening doors, thinking about possibilities as well, because my premises has been based on possibilities that others thought were possible for me. So I'm having that kind of like proud moment. I'm having like, yes, you go. I'm having this, thank you, Mom. I'm having the moment. I've had the moment around, thank you, Carola. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm having that moment, because I wouldn't be here without others. Nor I also acknowledge this, and I'll say this in some of my trainings, because it really stands true for me, that I think the possibilities I have would not also be possible with, I specifically say Black women who I may not know, but who came before me, who opened possibilities and doors for many of us. And I say that, right, because the ways for me is that the ways that the movements in this country have happened, big movements, has been a result of Black women. So I also think about that as well simultaneously, as I'm like, yes, this is possible. And I acknowledge, and I have very proud moments.
Acknowledgement, a little pride, and gratitude. All of those are beautiful things together. I'm glad I've been able to witness that growth. And I know that there are going to be many more moments along the way. So, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close?
You know, I've thought about that question for a bit, because I oftentimes I come at being an immigrant origin, Salvadoran, Latinx, cisgender able person, from the lens of what it's meant to navigate academia, and from the negotiations that I think that oftentimes, say, women of color negotiate in academia around career trajectory, family trajectory, what that ultimately looks like, and the level of supports that you need within the institution to navigate that space, right? Because oftentimes I think when we couch it under the idea that it's women navigating that, we don't, I think academia and sectors don't acknowledge what women of color particularly have to do in academia to navigate a space that oftentimes requires you to shift who you are to make it in academia. And it does not allow you to show up as an authentic full self where you fully feel welcome, affirmed, and like you actually belong in the space, right? And I say that as a thought, right? Because I think as we see a small sector of Black, Latina women enter academia, right? The underlying assumption is that all women experience this, and it's like, no, that's not
the same.
It's not the same. It is. It's not the same at all in terms of the day to day. Still the imposter syndrome, right? Do I really belong here, right? Do I really deserve to be here? That continuum, right, is an ongoing process that there is no space to have that conversation, right? There is no space where we can say, yeah, we need a community where we just kind of support women of color who are moving through this in higher education. And in the ways that there are no systems to do that. So I always think about that, right? Like I said, for me, I've been able to navigate a space because of individuals like you, right? And other individuals that have crossed my path. But I know what stands true is that it's a hard trajectory if you are Black and if you are, and I would say brown presenting, Black presenting Latina, because our white presenting Latina women navigate that academia very differently.
Absolutely. Well, all that you have shared is so very true, and I hope that with more of the extraordinary work like the one that you do, and more conversations like this one, slowly we can, hopefully quickly, but at the very least slowly, we can begin to move that needle. Thank you for opening up possibilities for young people that follow in the footsteps. It's been a joy and an honor to have this conversation, as is every conversation with you. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for thinking about me. Thank you for thinking about me.
Thank you very much.